are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna mute this thing.
Huh?
Okay, I'm on mute. I'm good.
All right, I'm going to call to order the October 19th, 2020 Board of Aldermen regular meeting. Would everyone please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm not. Thank you.
Roll call, please, Kelly.
Alderwoman Ebling.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Here.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderman Weggie.
Here.
Right.
Great.
For
We
suppress.
have a quorum. Thank you, Kelly. Next on the agenda, we have no announcements. We have no public hearings, so we're down to item 5, agenda approval. Are there any changes or modifications to the agenda as proposed? Any objection to approving, same by acclamation?
Nope.
Seeing no objection, it will be so approved. Next up is citizen comments, item 6. Kelly, does it look like we have anybody in the public who cares to address the board? Now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes.
Mark Murray has his hand.
Mark Murray, you care to address the board?
That's an accident, sorry. Wrong hand.
No, there are no other members with their hands raised. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up are the mayor and alderman reports. I have just one real quick report, and that is we timely filed our application for the CARES Act. Again, that's the $173 million in federal funds, of which $47 million has been earmarked for municipalities. We're expecting to get a little over, I think, $550,000. And we got an email back from Joan Kelly Horn, who's handling this through the St. Louis County today, saying that they're going to turn it around real fast. We probably should have everything done within a week. And those funds will be transferred by EFT to the city, and they will be just deposited into the general funds account. So that's all I have. How about Alderwoman Ebling? Do you have any report?
No report, but I would like to thank the police for their visits. They've made everybody really happy. It was a nice surprise.
Great. Alderman Gould.
Yes, only report that I have is to follow up on our upcoming Ward 3 meeting. It will be Tuesday, October 27th. We had hoped that it could be somewhat in person, or at least a blend of in person and virtual. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but so it will be virtual. However, I do want to announce Alderman Lockmiller and I will start a new thing for our Ward 3 meetings, and especially during this time right now, our businesses are struggling. So we're going to have Ward 3 meetings featured at different businesses around town to allow them to kind of talk about their business and just tell the residents who they are. So we're happy to announce that the first one will be at Naked Spirit. There will be more information posted on the social media channels, and that it should be really interesting and fun. So tune in and hear about Naked Spirits.
That is really neat, Alderman Gould. Alderman Lockmiller, great idea. Are we allowed to attend the Ward 3 meetings? No. Okay. Alderman Lockmiller.
Yeah, and thank you, Your Honor. And to tag on to that, if there are any other businesses out there in Brentwood that would like to host our Ward 3 meeting, we'd be happy to hear from you. We prefer to be a Ward 3 business, but we'll go anywhere for food or alcohol. And so you can contact Jeff or I at the website and get our emails. The other thing I had was public safety will have a brief meeting this Wednesday, the 21st. It will be held virtually and it will be at 5:30. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes, Ward 4 won't have a ward meeting per se, but Alderwoman Ebling and I will give a report to the Brentwood Forest Board of Managers next Tuesday, the 27th, and take Q&A from anybody on Zoom in Ward 4 who would like to do so.
Great, thank you. Alderman Plufka.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My only report is a question for our city administrator, maybe to answer during the city administrator's report, having to do with an update concerning the insurance consultant, the RFP that closed. We did receive one bid, and I'm curious as to where that stands in terms of a something to be put on the Board of Aldermen's agenda, to be voted on and to be started. I'm just curious as to where that stands right now. That's the only report I have. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Sims.
Ways and Means will meet this Thursday at 5:30 by Zoom. And I think we may be talking about that insurance issue as well, amongst other things. That's it.
Alderwoman Tice.
No report.
And Alderman West.
Only thing, I believe we're still accepting applicants for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. I know we have enough people that have applied, but please harangue your residents to get them to volunteer their time for free for the city. So that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe we have 7 so far that we've received. Next on the agenda is the city administrator report. Craig.
Good evening, Craig Schiller with Navigate Building Solutions. So I'll provide my typical update, and then after this, I'll go into a quick update on one of the items on the consent agenda. So bear with me, and I'll transition to that after my typical. So the typical Brentwood bound update, first is construction costs. Total spent since the last Board of Aldermen meeting is $179,426.73. This is for L. Keeley, who's the prime contractor on flood mitigation phase 1. Next is soft costs. Total spent since the last Board of Aldermen meeting is $9,202.50. And that was for property appraisal, redevelopment, RFP, advertising, and developer consulting services. Next is property acquisitions. Total spent since the last meeting was $175,000, and that is for property acquisition deposits. Next is contingency. So one note on contingency that goes with the first yellow down below in the categories of funding is with the board's approval of a recent property acquisition, there's an item in additional funding sources called the MSD grant net benefit. And there was $800,000 in MSD is going to give to Brentwood after an agreement was made for a certain property acquisition. Now that that agreement is in the process of being made, I moved that category up to categories of funding, and that's $800,000. And that's based on the agreement that you all approved a few months ago. But I wanted to capture that just to show the need of those funds to make this property acquisition happen. So that's the first yellow below. Again, that's MSD grant property acquisition. And then one other note is since the last Board of Aldermen meeting, there were some more checks received from MSD for the grant. $61,000 is for the soccer field that they're giving Brentwood. And then the other is the first installment payment for the first series of payments for the water quality improvements that are being done at the flood mitigation phase 1 pond. So that's it for this update. I'll take any questions before I jump to the next update, if there are any.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes, would you explain MSD giving us a soccer field?
So back in the day, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago this was, there was an agreement that MSD would rebuild the soccer field that they disturbed as part of that big project they're working on at the southwest corner of Normwest Park. Because you all are going to be building a soccer field as part of Normwest Park, we didn't want them to rebuild that soccer field to something that wouldn't work for your ultimate master plan. So we said, hey, the money that you're going to rebuild the soccer field, please just give that to Brentwood. And that way we can make sure it works with the master plan, because in your master plan, you've got a soccer field anyway. That's part of the funded project. So thankfully they agreed to that. Otherwise it would have been kind of wasted money where they would have built something and then we would have essentially changed it all around. So that money essentially just went into the MSD grant to help you guys all with anything else you want to utilize those funds for.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Craig on this? Okay.
Okay, next. So this is really exciting news because the staff and consultants, even the mayor, has spent a considerable amount of time trying to get a signal to be allowed to be installed at the new Norm West Park entrance. So that's where Brazil will connect to Brentwood Boulevard, which is also going to be the future intersection of Russell, Brazil, and Brentwood Boulevard. And after countless hours and over a year of time, again, with staff, the mayor, consultants, even partners like Great Rivers Greenway, St. Louis County would not allow us to put a signal there because they have strict requirements of needing certain vehicular counts to warrant a signal, which kind of makes sense because if everyone could just put in signals, we'd have signals everywhere and it wouldn't help out vehicular traffic. But it was frustrating for all of us. So, you know, we kept at it because this is a very important component to Norm West Park, having safe egress from this park that you guys are investing millions of dollars into, that we hope will have tons of people, but it's hard to utilize future projections to warrant a signal. So up until recently, Union Pacific finished their traffic study analysis that CBB completed on behalf of the city. And Union Pacific gave two options. And one option was to build this long median in Brentwood Boulevard, which wouldn't allow left-hand turns out of Brazil into Brentwood Boulevard going south, or essentially left-hand turns out of Russell going north on Brentwood Boulevard. That was one option. The second option was to install a traffic signal. So we had a call with St. Louis County last Tuesday, and we said, hey, we're not going to put a big median because that will prevent traffic into this beautiful park, and that's the opposite of what we want. But Union Pacific says that we can put in a traffic signal. So St. Louis County, will you please reconsider this? And after a long discussion, they said yes, under one condition though. And that condition was that the city agrees to install a pedestrian crossing going across Brentwood Boulevard and builds a shared use path on the north side of Russell that connects the future Norm West Park to the existing Brentwood Park. Well, that was great news because this is part of the overall plan that Brentwood's been trying to connect parks to anyway. I mean, this is a dream for Eric, the parks director. This is something that the city submitted a grant for about 6 weeks ago that we feel that we're scored really highly for. So it aligns with everything. And it ultimately allows us to get this signal, which is a big deal for pedestrian safety, vehicular safety, for this amazing park that you guys are putting in. So again, this is great news. We're really excited about this, and I can't tell you how much time everyone has spent on this, including the mayor. But what St. Louis County needs from you all is a resolution, a commitment from you all that you will do this project within 4 years. So until they get that piece of paper that says the Board of Aldermen commit to doing this shared use path, they won't respond to Union Pacific, which then allows us to get a traffic signal. So all this has this, the Deer Creek Greenway Connector project on hold because it's such a big part of the design of this project. So that's why this came up. That's why we can't wait because it's all connected. So the cost of this project, we haven't gotten any design proposals, just high level, it's about $400,000. Frankly, I'm working on deals with MoDOT as part of the new traffic component of the Union Pacific tracks to have a cost share on design fees. So I'm going to try to get this down cheaper than what I'm presenting here, like I always do for you all. But just right now, they just need to have a commitment from you all that in the next 4 years, you'll build that shared use path. Because what that does for them is because they know that we can't justify the signal for vehicles, it they will then realize that with that shared use path commitment, there will be a lot of pedestrians going through from park to park. And that allows St. Louis County to kind of check the box and say, hey, we didn't have the vehicle justification, the vehicle warrant, but we do know that there's going to be a lot of pedestrians going from park to park. And Brentwood committed to doing this within the next 4 years. Therefore, we'll allow them to put in a signal. So it's allowing them to kind of follow their processes as well. So I just wanted to kind of give you that background. There's a very detailed memo that Eric helped me put together that's part of the consent agenda, but I just wanted to say this is really exciting. This is a big deal, and I appreciate all your time and support of this.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Alderman Weggie.
Yeah, Craig, just as it says, the 125,000 estimated for design on that, that's just a swag, and we're not approving that now, right? So that'll,
Correct.
the details of this is just to get the commitment that we want to do this, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just like always, Alderman Weggie, I'm going to try to get MoDOT to pay a significant part of design costs as part of this, but I'll go out, and once I get the deals done, then I'll go out for design services, and I'll present them to you all for consideration. So yeah, you're not approving anything besides a commitment to do this in the next 4 years.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Alderman Plufka.
I just had a real quick question, kind of piggyback on top of that. Yeah, I think you might have said this, Craig, but this is to run on the north side of Russell, west from Brentwood, from the west side of Brentwood Boulevard, basically to the corner, to the park entrance.
Correct.
To Brentwood Park.
Correct.
So it wouldn't run along the side next to the railroad tracks on the other side of that street.
No, north side.
North side. Okay, that's
Yep.
it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Alderwoman Tice.
Since we seem to be asking questions about this now, it looked like on the map that most of the land where the shared use path is going to be was already, the city already had an easement on it. But there's a right of, can you explain where the property acquisition, just sort of where that is in the scheme of this?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly the different spot for it. Because TWM helped me with that estimate. I believe it's on the east side of Russell, but I can't tell you an exact parcel of it. But TWM in the grant application, they said it was about $25,000 for some certain right-of-ways. And I'm sorry, I just don't have the exact property address or anything there. Because most of it is. So I think they just have an estimate just for in case we encroach on a few right-of-ways that we just don't know now because we haven't started design. So I think because of that, they wanted to have some sort of plug in for the project, just in case we do need some sort of temporary construction easement. But I'm sorry, I don't have any detailed information on that. I apologize.
Okay. Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Anyone else? So when we get to the consent agenda, if someone still wants to take this item off and handle it separately, we can do that. But as Alderman Tice has noted, we're kind of taking questions on this matter now. Okay, that is it for the city administrator's report, I believe. Is that right, Bola? Oh, Alderman Plufka, you have something?
I just had that question.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
So Ways and Means is scheduled to meet on Thursday. And on that agenda is the request for proposal for insurance consultant services. As Alderwoman Sims said, we received 2 proposals, one from Brown, Smith and Wallace and the other from Charles Worth Consulting. And the plan is to make a recommendation to the committee and hopefully bring an agreement to the next Board of Aldermen meeting.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no further questions, and we will move on to the consent agenda. Anybody have any questions or have any requests to remove one of those items? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Weggie, seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Alderwoman Ebling,
Yes,
Alderwoman Gould, Alderman Gould,
Thank you.
sorry. Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Okay. By a vote of 8-0, the consent agenda has been approved.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Next on the agenda, we have no old business. We have 2 items under new business, and the first is Bill 6304. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a reading by title only, please, of Bill number 6304?
Bill number 6304, first reading, an ordinance establishing a uniform date for expiration of terms of office for members of appointed committees, boards, and commissions.
Thank you. Kevin, are you going to take this for us?
Yes, this is a recommendation from me, staff, to facilitate the process of populating boards, advisory boards of this in an orderly manner following each election cycle for the city. So almost all of the city boards and commissions call for staggered terms so that some members are selected following each municipal election. When, in the absence of a uniform, in the absence of a uniform expiration process, it is almost impossible to forecast when and how these vacancies or ends of term, which may or may not be a vacancy, when they would come up. So the idea here is to establish a uniformity in the process and enable newly elected officials to begin influencing the population of these boards right after the election cycle. It obviously doesn't preclude reappointment of incumbent members, but it does establish a predictability and a uniformity to the process of reappointing or turning over positions on advisory bodies in response to the will of the electorate through the election of the elected officials each April. It's not intended to be sinister or sneaky, just an opportunity for the people's voice to be uniformly recognized. I'd be happy to answer any
Thanks, Kevin. And I would say on behalf of all future mayors, they would, I'm sure, greatly appreciate this board passing this, because it has been a challenge over the last year to take a look at all the different committees and figure out who's in, who's not, who's up, who isn't. And so by having this uniform date, it would make life a lot simpler for staff. Alderman Plufka.
Yeah, my only concern about it is the May 28th deadline. And maybe it's not a concern. You probably would know better than me, David, but I just thought about a new mayor coming into term, you know, sworn in the second meeting of April, and now he or she has 5 weeks essentially to fill however many vacancies there might be in any given year. From time to time, I know firsthand it's been hard to fill some of these vacancies, and it takes a little bit of time to get everybody mobilized and wanting to understand what's being asked of them, and furthermore to get volunteers, to get people to want to do it. My only question, it has to do with the May 28th date.
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
If I may, first of all, it's May 31st, but
I'm sorry, May 31st. I apologize. I'm sorry.
The idea is the same. This creates the opportunity for an appointment. All members of boards and commissions serve until their term is expired and a successor is appointed and qualified.
Okay.
So this merely creates a timing by which positions can be turned over, reappointed, whatever. So it doesn't create an obligation to fill those by June 1. It merely creates the opportunity coincident to the turnover in office.
Thank you.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
My only question is this retroactive so that people who, I mean, how do people who are in office now know when their term would end if this happens? Or is it just going to be an ongoing thing starting now?
It would be effective upon adoption, and it would affect the terms of all members of boards and commissions at present, who presently serve.
Okay, and I think we're doing a staggered reading on this, right, Bola?
What's that?
We're doing a staggered reading. We're not doing it first
Yes.
and second tonight?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Alderman Gould, did you have your? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Alderman Gould.
Yes, I was just to clarify. So if positions aren't filled by that date and say are filled 4 months later, their term would be a shortened term in effect, right? So they still wouldn't do a full 2-year term because it would come up sooner. Is that correct?
That's correct. All terms would expire. Let me point out, otherwise, the record keeping and the predictability of when the term is up, it becomes daunting otherwise.
Understand.
Just as if someone's appointed to an unexpired term, they only serve that portion, they don't serve a 2-year term. So this would be akin to that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Kevin or anybody else on Bill 6304? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Bill number 6305. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a first reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6305, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, approving a certain real estate sale contract with Frederick Company Incorporated, doing business as Frederick Roofing, for the purchase of certain properties at 8,000 Manchester Road, 8002 Manchester Road, 2709 South Hamley Road, and 7957 Laureen Avenue in St. Louis County, Missouri, approving a lease to Frederick Company Incorporated, authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith, and providing for the effective date of this ordinance and containing a severability clause.
Thank you. We all know what this is about, but I'm still going to turn it over to Mark. Mr. Murray, if you're there.
Good evening. So before you tonight is the bill to approve the sale contract with Frederick Roofing Company and the lease back to Frederick Roofing Company post-closing. It's similar to what we talked about before, and Bob Frederick has actually already signed the contract, so we should be good to go.
I think he was breaking up there, or at least he was for me, but essentially Bob Frederick has already signed the contract, and we would like to have a first and second reading of this bill tonight. Do we have any questions for Mark or anybody else on this matter? If not, can I get a motion for a second read of Bill 6305?
I move for a second reading of 6305.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Plufka, seconded by Alderwoman Tice. For a second read of 6305, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read of Bill 6305, please?
6305, second reading, consideration for adoption. The ordinance of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, approving a certain real estate sale contract with Frederick Company Incorporated, doing business as Frederick Roofing, the purchase of certain properties at 8,000 Manchester Road, 8002 Manchester Road, 2709 South Hanley Road, and 7957 Laureen Avenue in St. Louis County, Missouri, approving a lease to Frederick Company Incorporated, authorizing certain actions in connection therewith, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, and containing a severability clause.
Great, thank you. Get a motion to perfect Bill number 6305 into ordinance form, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I had a motion by Alderwoman Ebeling, seconded by Alderman Legge. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please, Kelly.
Alderwoman Ebling,
Yes,
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Okay. By a vote of 8-0, Bill number 6305 passes and will become ordinance number 4942, when and if signed by the mayor.
Great, thanks, Kelly. Thank you, everybody. Next on the agenda, citizens' comments. Again, anybody in the public care to address the board, now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes.
There is no one at this time who is raising their hand to speak.
All right. Tonight we do have another closed session. Anybody in the board care to make that the motion to go into closed session?
Your Honor, I move that we go to executive session pursuant to Chapter 610.021, subsection 1, legal, and Missouri Revised Statutes, Chapter 610.021, subsection 2, pertaining to real estate, and adjourn our meeting from that executive session.
Second.
Okay, that was a second by Alderman Gould. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Alderwoman Ebling,
yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Okay, by a vote of 8-0, we move to go to closed session.
Okay, everybody, let's just take a real quick break and work on zooming in. We'll see you in just a few minutes.